Hello and welcome to Ranking the Demon List Part 8.5. This is the series where I rank the Demon List. Now, a lot of you have probably either heard that intro or looked at the title of this YouTube video and thought, okay, nothing as scary has officially lost their mind. And I promise you, I haven't gone insane yet. There is a reason I'm titling it this way. So considering how long it took me to put out part 2 of The Iceberg, I haven't worked on this series in a little while, and because of that, the wait between this episode and the last episode has been long, and a lot of stuff has been placed on the Demon List. So much so that in bonus entries alone, there are over 30 of them. This workload is just absurd, and so what I've decided to do is to soften my workload a bit by making a 8.5. This episode is quite literally just going to be bonus entries. We're not going to be going down the Demon List any further. We're just going to focus on the bonus entries so I can soften my workload for Part 9. This is still going to function like a normal episode of Ranking the Demon List. It's just the actual levels in and of itself that I'm talking about that are different, and so that's why this is titled this way. Sorry for any confusion that this might cause, but I promise it shouldn't be that confusing. As usual, there's going to be a playlist in the description with every single episode of the series up until this point, and if you haven't seen the rest of the series before watching this episode, I highly recommend it as we're pretty far down on the Demon List at this point. With all that out of the way, let's get right into the reviews. So starting off, we have Fever Dream. Right off the bat, we are definitely starting with a banger, as I really like this level. The best way I can describe what Fever Dream is like is take Devil Vortex, make it so that it's actually well made, and then make it blue instead of a hell-themed level while still retaining that general sense of edginess. I'll go so far as saying this is how you do an edgy level well. There's a lot of stuff in this level that I just generally like. I like the part where it becomes sort of Diamond Blade style wave gameplay, and text acknowledges this saying, "Remember me?" And while it's obviously very reminiscent of the text in Slaughterhouse, I think it actually fits very well here because it actually works well in the sense of being a callback. This is a really creative and fun part to just have in the middle of this level. But aside of that, the level's just really good in regards to its execution and decoration. It really does, to me, feel like Devil Vortex executed well. The level feels super well optimized, and on top of all of that, and this is something I haven't really complimented a level for yet, but I'm going to here because it's really something I want to point out, the color choice in and of itself isn't the only thing that's good about the decoration in the level. The shading is so amazing. These nice deep fades of blue just look really good in a way that's hard to describe. And then they managed to make the grayscale parts almost not look grayscale in the sense of how lively they look. It's really hard to describe, but these levels use shading in a way that makes the level feel way more alive than it would have without it, and I think it's a really nice thing to have in here. My score here might upset some people, but keep in mind that in this series, I do allow myself to factor in bias. I'm giving Fever Dream a 10. I really like this level. Next up, we have Excruciation Chamber. With this level, there isn't a lot to say, but there's a lot to praise. In terms of what there is to say, the level is just an extended version of an old challenge level called Torture Chamber, uploaded to the servers as Happy Chamber for reasons I don't really know, but the point is, this is an extended challenge level that has been completely redecorated, and it looks phenomenal. This level is beautiful. It's got this contrast between ice and lava, and it looks really nice. In particular, I love the ice parts, the way the snow looks and the way the block design just stands out to you. I think if I were to nitpick and say anything about the deco that I don't like, towards the second half they have this effect where a bunch of waves start popping up on the bottom and top of the screen. Not a fan of that. I find it a little distracting, and I especially don't like that it carries over into the end screen. But that brings us to the end screen. Genius end screen. Simple, sweet, and to the point. Not an overly complicated end screen, but the idea of having it just suddenly fade into the old challenge level as the end screen is a really nice touch. Unfortunately, there is an issue of the quality throughout the most of the level kind of conflicts with the quality of the beginning part, but I really don't think that's as big of an issue as people make it out to be, because the beginning is the actual gameplay from the old challenge, the one that already existed on the servers, so it kind of makes sense for that to look not as good. And on top of that, it is sort of the intro to the level. It's like the pre-drop, so to speak, even though this level really is just one long wave section. It is basically this level's pre-drop, backdrop, and it makes sense for that to be the worst looking part, because even then it doesn't work that bad. It just looks like the level's setting itself up, and I really don't think it's that big of a deal. This level is just a masterpiece in every sense, and while the gameplay in and of itself probably isn't too appealing, mainly appealing to challenge players, that's still a niche, and a niche that would have needed to be filled eventually. The idea of extending challenges has been around for a long time, so I think it's okay that this exists. I'm a pretty big fan. I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10. Next up we have Gustavo Fring, another one of the Breaking Bad levels. And you might think, oh no, another one of the Breaking Bad levels. He's gonna absolutely hate it, isn't he? No, this is actually the best of the series, in my opinion. This is easily the best of the Breaking Bad levels, albeit still part of the Breaking Bad series, and it still suffers from a lot of the issues from that series, and that main issue being it has nothing to do with Breaking Bad, so why is it named after Breaking Bad? I know that's the joke, but you could at least put some references to Breaking Bad here and there in the level, maybe some text or some jokes. It always, with this series, feels like Ren just took a random generic glow level that he had and slapped a funny name on it so that the level would get more attention. I do find it mildly amusing that the level named after one of the people of color in the show is mostly the color white, and I think that's really funny. I'm sure this wasn't intentional, but, oh no, oh, the end screen. Oh god, why would you whitewash Gustavo Fring? What are you doing? You're making it worse for yourself, Ren. Oh no. As funny as these jokes are, they are obviously just jokes, but, you know, the level itself, decoration is really good. The main reason I say this is the best of the series is because this is the only one where the word generic can't really be thrown at it. Glow level, absolutely. It is just like a stereotypical 2.1 level, but the word generic doesn't work on this one because, well, the decoration's actually really solid, the gameplay's really creative, and overall the level's just really interesting. I know I don't normally factor gameplay in, but we're getting low enough to where I can start playing these levels at faster speeds in practice mode and understanding the gameplay a bit more, and I can say I thoroughly enjoy this level's gameplay. It's really fun. Overall, I think this is the best of the series, however, that's not a very high bar, unfortunately, and it does suffer from a lot of problems that I've talked about with each of the other levels in the series. I'm going to be giving this one a 7 out of 10. Next up we have Ego Killing, and this level's decoration is excellent, so much so that I didn't believe this was an extreme. Not because extremes don't tend to look good, but more because levels of this kind of quality usually settle between the medium demon to insane demon range, with stuff like Ring Trick. I don't really have much to say, it's just an overall solid level. However, what I will point out is that some of the visual effects in the level are amazing. Block deco-wise, it's about what you would expect from just a top-tier level. It's very simple, yet very well executed in terms of color, and overall it's just one of those things where it's so good you usually don't think about it. But the visual effects are mind-blowing. I don't know how to explain it, but lately creators have been popping off with these, like, really absurd transitions in levels like Ring Trick, and they're just so pleasing to look at, and of course, they're in here, and they look amazing. It is, unfortunately, one of those levels that are very hard to review, sort of like Knights of Thunder. It's just really hard to put into words the quality of the level. I really like this level. I'm going to be giving it a 9. Next up, we have CRIDIUM. The decoration's fine, gameplay's fine, I like how a lot of this level looks, however, I'm just going to cut to the chase and say, this is an extremely rare case where, for me personally, a song in and of itself can ruin a level for me. And this song, I don't like it. Now, let me be very clear. I love funk as a genre, and I listen to a lot of it. I listen to a lot of Chord Hell, I listen to a lot of Scored, and this level uses a Scored song, but unfortunately, not a very good one. This song is just so unlistenable. It is just a long, sustained, vibrating bass with some cowbells. That is what this song is. It is funk cowbells and an overwhelming amount of bass. I can tell there's more melody here because I can faintly hear it, but it's so drowned out by what sounds like my phone vibrating when I get a cell phone call. Now, it's rare that I let a song influence my opinion on a level. However, this song is really, really bad in my opinion, to the point where I have a headache. I just got done watching the showcase, and now I have a fucking migraine. I'm giving this level, decoration's good, actually, and it's got a fucking banger of an end screen, so I'm not going to be that unfair. I'll give it a 4 out of 10, and I'm going to go get some Tylenol. Alright, now that I have 2 pills of ibuprofen comfortably resting inside of my stomach, Friday by Metalface. Amazing level. Genuinely, I love this level. It is basically if Windy Landscape was significantly harder. And when I say that, I mean that, because that was the intent. Metalface was trying to make a Windy Landscape level, and I'm dead serious when I say, from what I played in practice, this level feels exactly like Windy Landscape, while still being fresh and unique gameplay. Same charm, same type of gameplay, same skill set, really. This level is basically just Windy Landscape, but it's harder and looks better. I think my only complaint is that the song is a bit of a weird choice. Not a bad song, don't get me wrong, but it is just a little weird to use a ruckus song for a level that's themed around, like, being Windy Landscape inspired. Like, it would have made more sense if the level used a Fat Rat song or something, but not necessarily a bad song choice. I'll even go so far as to say, and this is going to be ridiculously controversial, so keep in mind, opinions are opinions, it's okay if you disagree with me, but I would go so far as to say this does a better job at being a Windy Landscape sequel, or inspired level, or whatever you want to call it. It does a better job at that than Verdant Landscape. This thing is so good, and I absolutely love it. Because of that, I don't think it's a shock that Friday is getting a 10 out of 10. So next up we have Repentless, and I'm making sure to review this level this time. Okay, so you don't know why I'm so pissed off. I should have reviewed this like 2 or 3 episodes ago, but I kept forgetting it existed. And that really speaks to the quality of the level. It's generic glow, weird song choice to the point where the song doesn't stick out. Level itself doesn't do anything remarkable. The only part of this level that's somewhat memorable to me, maybe, is the end screen. But even then, I'd have to really stretch the definition of the word memorable. This level is easily Ren's most boring level. I get the feeling that these are the kinds of levels where Ren just changes the name to a Breaking Bad character to make people remember them. Because this level would have benefited from that. Because without it, I can't remember it exists. Just a boring level. Like, I guess it's got the color choices down really well, because the level isn't necessarily unpleasing to look at. Like, it's fine, it's just so irredeemably boring and forgettable. I'm giving it a 1 out of 10 because I kept forgetting to review it due to how boring it is. That's gotta be one of the biggest insults a level can have, making reviewers forget you exist. So next up we have Dance of the Violins. At first glance, this level looks like a generic 2.0 level, and to some extent it is. However, especially when you hit 50% onwards, the decoration is actually really, really good for its time. It's crazy that this took so long to get verified and rated, but I'm definitely glad someone took the time to go back and verify this so it can get rated, because it legitimately deserves the attention. Of course, nowadays it's nothing special, but you have to put yourself in the mindset of when it was made back in 2.0, and if you can do that, this level's really good for its time. Especially everything 50% onwards. I'm genuinely impressed with a lot of this. I think my main complaint is just that the level's really unbalanced. Like, this has some goofy balancing. Like, it gives the unnerfed tent circle a run for its money and how unbalanced it is. It's kind of funny because Cyclic's parts are ridiculous compared to the other parts. It's so hilariously unbalanced that this level goes from, like, Insane Demon to List Demon to, like, Medium Demon back to List Demon just rapidly. It's so funny. It just can't decide what difficulty it wants to be. Really, that's my only issue with the level. Honestly, I love a lot of the visuals here. There's some levels that have aged horribly coming from 2.0, but this genuinely looks pretty solid, and I like it. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Next up we have Nevermore. I don't really know how to describe the decoration for this level, but it is really good. It's just something you have to see for yourself. It's not something that I can properly explain with words. I can say that the color choices throughout this level are really good, and it overall just looks really nice. What I especially like about this level is the slow gameplay paired with the song. It really reminds me of Acropolis. It's really cool, and I think this level's really neat. I don't have a lot to say about this one, it's just a cool level. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Next up we have Farthest Outpost, which is an SCP-themed level, which... I need to get this out of the way right off the bat. I'm not too familiar with SCPs. I know a few of them, and I would consider myself a fan, at least of the concept. I think they're really cool. And I do at the very least know of stuff like the statue that breaks your neck if you're, you know, not looking at it, and I mean, one of my levels that I'm working on right now is themed around an SCP. So I'm not unfamiliar with the concept, but I'm also not familiar with it, so I don't get a lot of the references and all that stuff. I have a very limited knowledge as to this, so a lot of this level's references might fly over my head. That being said, I do happen to get a lot of the references, which is nice, considering I actually think they're really cool, and I think it's really nice to notice some of this stuff. This level overall is just really cool, and is really good fan service to anyone who likes SCPs. Beyond that, the gameplay is breathing with life and creativity in a way that's kind of hard to describe, but I just overall like the way this level's gameplay visually looks, and a lot of the decoration does stand out to me as being very unique. In particular, I actually want to point out this X-ray section, not because there's anything wrong with it, not because I'm pointing out anything good with it, more so to ask the question. The GD icon has bones? This is definitely a level that has to grow on you. Honestly, my first time seeing this level, it was slowed down because I had to bot it for the sake of showcasing it, and this level does not look good if you slow it down. Not that that matters, I'm more just saying, like, this is definitely a level that you'd have to view properly and maybe multiple times just to appreciate it, but the more you view it, the more it grows on you, because the more things you notice. I also really, really like the ending, like the actual ending. At 96%, if you die to this little collapsing bit of ground, a QR code appears, and the QR code leads to Zombo.com, which if you don't know Zombo.com, it is a loading screen simulator, which is really funny. Overall, though, I can really sum up how much attention to detail this level has with the last triple spike. They have the really cool detail of it says GG question mark, and then if you successfully jump over the triple, it changes to a punctuation mark as if to say, well, now it is GG, you know, you did jump over the triple. It's almost like the level's doubting that you're not going to die to the final triple, and it's just a really small detail, but something that goes a long way. A lot of themed levels like this, I've noticed, can fail. There's an upcoming top one by the name of Vehemence, and it's really hyped, and as much as I do adore the level and think it's really good, the level is based off of the Terraria Calamity mod, and there's an issue with that. The issue is that I feel like I'm missing something when I watch it, because when I watched it, I kinda noticed that I didn't understand what was going on, and I noticed that, because I don't know jack shit about Terraria, that a lot of my experience of the level was worse because I didn't understand what was going on in the level in terms of theming. But this definitely feels like a level where if you don't understand the source material, you can still appreciate and like the level, and I think that's very important with a level like this. This level stands on its own even beyond being SCP-themed, and that's very important in my opinion. This level does everything it's trying to do right, and I'm a really big fan of it. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. Next up we have FusionDynamix, and what do you want me to say about this? Like, it's just a harder version of Electrodynamics. If you've seen Electrodynamics, just imagine it if it was significantly harder and you have this. Like, some of the block deco, if you look closely, is different, and I'm pretty sure it was built by hand. Like, I don't think they just buffed a copyable. It just looks like Electrodynamics. There aren't a lot of things changed. I don't know, I get nothing out of this. The only part that sticks out at me as, like, unique from Electrodynamics is the final ship, where the spikes are really tall, which I'll admit is really threatening and really cool, but that's, like, the only thing I noticed that's different. Like, it's weird. This level feels like it's trying to be like a modernized redeco of Electrodynamics, but it just looks like Electrodynamics. And on top of that, it does something with the gameplay I'm not a fan of, and again, while I can't factor in the enjoyment of the gameplay because I'm not good enough to beat these, I can at least understand the mechanics of the gameplay, and it does something with it that I really dislike. I'm sure it wouldn't affect the enjoyment rating at all, but it's just bad level design in my opinion. Basically, it does a thing where if you don't hit a specific jump ring, or if you do hit a jump ring you're not supposed to hit and survive, invisible wall will just appear and kill you. In particular, at the very beginning, there's this part where if you manage to stay upside down and then hit this blue orb, The level tells you to kill yourself and puts a saw blade there. Thanks. Why don't you structure your level to make it naturally not possible? I'm not really a fan of this. I'm gonna give low tier god Dynamix a 6 out of 10. Alright, so I'm about to botany on Skyline. I figured I could record this as maybe I could use it for content or something, but I know this level is ridiculously difficult to bot, so I think I'm just gonna pull up the verification video. What the fuck? That's real, by the way. That's not like a funny edit. I didn't have to do any editing. That is actually what the Demon List does with this level. I have no clue why. So yeah, Neon Skyline. Pretty cool level, albeit unfortunately very confusing to figure out what you're supposed to do, which probably doesn't affect the process of trying to beat it, but in terms of just playing it in practice, this is probably the hardest practice mode level I've touched on the Demon List. Like, getting through this in practice is a chore, but that doesn't affect anything. It's just something I felt like I'd mention. This level is confusing. That aside, though, this level's gameplay is very unique. It's a type of gameplay I've really never seen before, and I think it's really entertaining and interesting to watch. The color choices in this level are phenomenal, and just overall, the level is very vibrant and looks really good, despite being somewhat limited in the colors it chooses. It's just overall a well-decorated level. I really like it. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Next up we have IthacropoliX, and I mean, I like it. I don't necessarily think it's bad, but it fails to leave an impression on me. I don't know, this level is just very, very mid-early 2.1 glow, and not a lot of stuff sticking out. Although there are a couple moments where it does have some stuff that breaks that mold, like the city part and the end screen look really good, but I want to say at least 70% of the level is just glow, and that doesn't leave an impression on me at all. On top of that, the song choice is just kind of lame in my opinion, being the song from VSC. I'm really trying to like this level, because I always try to look for as many of the positives as I can. I don't like just delving straight into the negative, but this level just fails to stick out to me at all. I already forgot what half the level looks like. The only parts of this level that are memorable to me are the smaller parts of the level, and for that, the small parts of this level that I remember do leave an impression on me and are really good, but so much of this level is just nothing. I don't know, I'm not a big fan, but I can also respect it, and again, it's not that it looks bad, it's just that it doesn't stick out to me. So yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Next up we have Jupiter, my favorite. This level starts off kind of meh, not bad, but just meh with this jump ring stuff, and I wasn't a big fan of it when I saw this part. However, the moment we got to the mini-wave right after it, this level instantly won me over. This is an extremely creative memory level, breathing with life on the level of how confusing is the level, which, I mean, makes sense because it's by the same creator. For the record, to this exact moment, I still don't know how it works, and it's so bad that I guarantee you I did not macro it properly in the showcase, so if the gameplay for the level looks a bit off, or it looks like I'm playing the level wrong, I probably am. That being said, I really like everything in this level, and I think it looks really good. If I had to criticize anything, I have two main complaints. I'm not a fan of the song. The song choice is just very out of place and weird. I don't really know how to describe it, but this song would work better in a pixel art level, in my opinion, than something like this. It's not necessarily bad, and it doesn't ruin the level for me, just not a big fan of the song choice. And I did notice a couple decoration errors here and there, most notably the random glow line in the wave part. Not really sure what's up with that, but aside of those things, the level's really good, and I am a pretty big fan of it. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Next up we have Coral Cave, a level based off of Sonic Rush Adventure. And when I say based off of it, I don't mean in the way other GD levels have been based off games. This level does it in a very unique way, and in a way that's never been done before. This level feels like a level from the Sonic games. Not even in like a minigame way that's obnoxious. I mean, like, this is a GD level, but on top of being a GD level, you can take weird sort of swag routes to collect coins and kill enemies, and it looks and feels like a Sonic level in GD. It is odd, and I love it. An even cooler thing is on the end screen of the level, it'll actually, like, rank you like a Sonic game would and give you, like, S tier or A tier in terms of your performance, and you can actually affect this score based off how many enemies and rings you kill. If you collect every single ring and kill every single enemy, you get a max score of a bunch of 9s and it gives you S rank. Even cooler is that even though the level has the correct song without the nong, if you get the nong, it's a proper version of it and not a cover, and at the end of the song, it actually has the sound effects for the level complete screen from the actual Sonic game. So this level is really fleshed out, and it does a really, really good job at recreating the source material. This is probably the best fan-made interpretation of a game I've ever seen in GD, and I am blown away. Easy 10 out of 10. Next up we have Awedsy by Sync. Yeah, so we have Sync by Awedsy and Awedsy by Sync. Kinda funny. Ignoring that, this level I don't really have a lot to say about it. Song is really good, usage of the song is executed well, and the gameplay is very visually appealing to watch, and the decoration looks good. Of course, it is a 1.9 level, so the creator of the level giving himself an arbitrary limitation that makes the level a little bit worse. However, with this one, it doesn't hinder it as much as others do, because this level still looks pretty good. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say. It's a solid level. That's it. There isn't really much more I can say to review this. I think it's okay. I'm gonna give it a 8 out of 10. Next up we have Fog. Very solid song, very solid decoration, really cool gameplay just throughout, and everything about this level is breathing with life despite the color scheme being grayscale. I also gotta give extra special attention to the song choice, because breakcore is a very hard genre to get right. A lot of breakcore artists have the exact same drum kit loop, and it makes it very hard to appreciate the genre. However, this level picks a breakcore song that breaks that mold and is actually unique and something I feel like I haven't heard before in the genre, and because of that, I have to give a lot of props to the creator for picking a breakcore song that's actually good. I really like the level, I really like the way it uses the song in terms of intensity. Never in the level does it feel like it's the wrong speed or the wrong gameplay in terms of fitting with the song. Everything in this level is just perfect, and it works really well. It's also just overall very intimidating. This is a very good example of harder than it looks. I really like this level. I'm going to give it a 10. Next up we have CORRODERE. I don't know how to pronounce it. I did my best. This level just feels like a 1.9 level with moving objects, like what very early 2.0 was before the moving object abuse started to get bad. Yeah, I mean, like, this level just doesn't stick out to me that much. It's got some cool moments here and there, but nothing that excites me or sticks out to me. I don't know, this level just, I'm not a big fan of it. It also just feels longer than it is. I don't know, it's 100% personal bias, but this level just doesn't do anything for me. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm struggling to even think of things to say about it, so I don't know. It's not bad by any means, it just doesn't stick out to me. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. Next up we have Torn by Pocky Kairos. I meant to say Kairos, I'm sorry. I guess you can say I'm pretty torn with this one. You know, after making a joke like that, I'm gonna, like, wake up, and I'm gonna be laying on my bed, and then I'm gonna look around me and realize the bed I'm laying on is floating in the middle of the ocean. Torn is a pretty interesting level. I don't necessarily dislike it, however, my main complaint is that the backgrounds are really, really empty and that it's too reliant on block design, which is bad when the block design is very simple. However, there are some really neat effects in this level that I really like. In particular, I like these sort of speed lines that pop in and out. They're really well done and well executed. The colors in this level are also pretty solid, and I am a pretty big fan of those. I just wish there was a little bit more here. The level is fairly empty. Not necessarily a big deal, though, as I do still like the level. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Next up, we have Escape Room by Slay. This level is really, really interesting in regards to how it pulls off the industrial and mechanical aesthetic. It's a very claustrophobic level, which makes sense for the name Escape Room, and it's just overall really, really well made and really cool. It is similar to one of the earlier levels we reviewed in this video. It also has those really tall spikes, and my god, these are oddly intimidating. I have no idea why. I really like the level. I think it goes really well with the song. If I could complain, maybe, about anything, I think maybe the level's a little too slow for the song. It would have been better if some of the 2x speed sections were 3x speed sections. But aside of that, it works really, really well. My only other complaint that I can really think of is that some of the backgrounds are really empty, but in the context of this level, I don't think that's the biggest deal in the world. I kind of like Escape Room, but it does kind of leave a little bit to be desired in terms of just emptiness and all that, but it's still a cool level. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Next up we have Horros, and I wanted to like this level, and granted, because of the reason I wanted to like it, I do still appreciate it, but I'm a little disappointed with the level itself. Ever since I saw Codependence place on the list, I've been wanting to see more and more two-player levels like Codependence be verified and put onto the demon list, because this skill set is something there's almost no way to prepare for, and it's certainly something that is gated and that you have to be naturally good at to be able to do. And what would be nice is if people make a range of difficulty two-player mode levels, so that way people have more time to get better and better at them and eventually prepare for Codependence. That way more people will hopefully go for it. This and the next level we're going to be talking about do just that, and I appreciate this level for that because we need more two-player levels to help people get good at them. I'm not even necessarily saying they have to be made for the list or be put on the list. I just think we need to focus a little bit more on this skill set because it's so unexplored and so niche and so difficult to get into. And this level, along with the next level we're going to talk about, helps with that a lot, and so no matter what, I appreciate them for this, and they're always going to stick with me as sort of, I guess, trendsetter levels. I don't really know. Basically, it's going to be a case of, well, I have to appreciate these levels because they were the first to do the thing they're doing. I know for a fact I'm going to look at these levels years down the line and go, these aren't as good as I remember, but they're good because of what they did, and that's basically how I feel about Horros specifically. This level, I don't think it's that good. Like, even isolating the two-player mode thing, I just don't think it's that good. Each section of the level feels like a different level entirely, and it feels very incoherent. And on top of that, the song isn't really utilized that well. This is a very intense, fast-sounding song, but it's also a very pausey song. I don't really know how to explain it, but it feels like it would have worked way better in a flow level, not a very slow-paced two-player mode level. I don't really know, I just don't think the song fits too well. Along with that, the decoration quality in this level is insanely inconsistent, and that probably comes from the fact that each part looks like it's from a completely different level. You have one part that looks really, really good, like the ship part at the very beginning before the duel, and then you could have another part that just looks like a really bad glow part that wouldn't have been out of place in Akashic Records. The only real reason I appreciate this level, if I'm being totally honest, is because of the two-player mode thing. This level is extremely ambitious because people are afraid to even try to turn the two-player setting on, and it's really, really nice to see a level break that mold, and it's a level of creativity I'll always appreciate. In terms of decoration, though, I'm not a big fan. Honestly, even visually, the gameplay is kind of boring to watch, which is extremely criminal for a two-player mode level. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of this. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. On the other hand of things, we have Sides of My Mind, which, right off the bat, 10 out of 10. Just gonna say it now, I can't even avoid it. This is an amazing two-player mode level, and this is everything a two-player mode level should strive to be. The decoration in this level is outstanding. The backgrounds are breathtaking and really beautiful and full of life. The block deco is also really vibrant and really well done. Honestly, the block deco kind of reminds me of Congregation if it was a little bit more animated and moved a little bit more. There's also something I noticed in terms of gameplay that's really, really cool. I noticed it while I was botting the level, and it's something I really appreciate as it adds an extra layer of challenge. the controls, every time the screen fades to black in between parts, will swap. So for example, in this part, you can see that in this duel, the wave is gray, indicating that it is controlled with the second player input. However, it fades to black, and then when it comes back, it is now orange, indicating that it is the first player controller. And that is really, really cool, and just such an interesting touch that they added in this level. It is so neat. The gameplay is really unique, really creative, and goes beyond, hey guys, look, I'm a two-player mode level. It's actually creative for a two-player mode level, and I really appreciate it for that. On top of that, with the visuals being as breathtaking as they are, and how well the song is utilized, yes, this is easily a 10. I love this level. So next up we have Instinct, and this is a really cool level, breathing with life. You can tell that Kermal was involved with this level, or, Crazy Man 50 Real. You can tell that he was involved with this level because it is amazingly creative, and it is all filled with gameplay gimmicks that I've never seen before. This level is breathing with creativity in terms of the gameplay. Decoration, a little bit of a mixed bag. None of it's bad, however. I just say it's a mixed bag because you have some parts that look like, I don't really know, early 2.1 glow, but in a creative way, not in a bad way. That's not supposed to be an insult in this specific case, but it just has that early 2.1 feel is what I'm basically trying to get at. And then you have other parts like this, which look really, really good for today's standards. So it's just kind of weird that this level kind of ups and downs in quality, but the downs are still high quality, so it doesn't really bother me that much. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say. I can't really talk about the color choice that much because, while it looks good, it's not like they had any other choice. The levels are themed around Pokemon Go teams, so of course Instinct is going to be yellow. What else would it be? Fucking brown? Genuinely a really solid level through and through. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. Next up we have Atomic Cannon Mark II. What, is the level a f***ing wonder weapon in Call of Duty Zombies? Speaking of the Call of Duty Zombies series, Atomic Cannon Mark II is what I would imagine would happen if you took Atomic Cannon and you shoved it into a Pack-a-Punch machine. It is an amazing, mind-bendingly cool level. Everything about this sticks out to me as creative and interesting, and oh my god, I don't understand what's happening in the gameplay at all. Yeah, I had to bought this to showcase it, and even after botting it, I have no clue what the hell is going on when I look at this gameplay. This is a very fast, very confusing level, and I'm here for it. It is so visually stimulating to just watch the gameplay. Like, this is a level where you could put it in layout mode, and I wouldn't say it's any worse just because of how interesting the gameplay is. But, of course, gameplay aside, we have to talk about the decoration, and thankfully that excels too. It's a little inconsistent in quality, but that doesn't matter. It is beautiful the whole way through, and the chaotic, inconsistent nature of the decoration matches with the really fast-paced gameplay fairly well. Atomic Cannon Mark II blew me away, and when I saw that it was the sequel to Atomic Cannon, I had the lowest expectations you could imagine, but yeah, this defied anything my expectations could have been. This is shockingly good. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. So next up we have Trotil. Trotil? I don't know. Half the time the list levels I can't pronounce the name of them, so whatever. I tried my best. Trotil, Cherry Team Ice level. This level looks really good up until 37%, and then in my opinion it just starts to look empty and bad. This is another example of Cherry Team putting a lot of effort into a level, only for it to just look like there was no effort put into the level. Sort of like what happened with Mayhem. I don't like any of this block design. Basically, from 37 all the way to the end of the drop, it just looks empty. I get it, it took a lot of effort for them to make, but there's, like, it doesn't even look like there's block design, and the background is just empty. I just don't like this. In general, I'm really disappointed with this level, more so than any other levels we've talked about in this video, because ice as an aesthetic has so much potential as a decoration style in GD. It's such a cool idea having, like, snow and ice deco, and the very rare times we've gotten to see it, it looks really good, levels like Frozen Cave. There's no excuse. This level could have been so much better considering it was an ice-themed level made by Cherry Team. But instead we get the most hollow and empty block design you could imagine with little to no background for a majority of the level. Call it harsh, I don't really care. They are my opinions and therefore they're going to be biased, and if you disagree with me, that's perfectly fine and I respect your opinion. However, I hate this level so much. It is so disappointing. I'm giving it a 2 out of 10. Next up we have Sky Shredder, and I'll be honest, I have no idea what to say for this review. Every single time I watch a showcase of it, I immediately forget what it looks like when it's over because it's so goddamn forgettable and generic. I don't like this level. I'm not a fan. From the little I can retain of the memory of this level, it's got creative gameplay and the block design doesn't suck. Yeah, this level doesn't stick with me at all, I'm sorry, I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. Next up we have Shimmer, and Shimmer is a perfect example of simple but effective. This level is straight to the point, it's not overly complicated, it's just everything it wants to be, and that's it. This level puts its cards on the table, and it just gives you what it has, and my god, it has a lot. In terms of raw speed, this is definitely not the fastest GD level I've ever seen, however, it really feels like it due to how intimidating this level makes its atmosphere. Just in general, I don't know how to explain it, it just puts things together in such a way. It's like you already had the puzzle pieces, put them together to make a puzzle. And this level made one hell of a puzzle. Due to the simplicity of this level, it's extremely hard to review. However, pointing out the obvious things, color choice is magnificent, and the level overall just looks gorgeous. I don't really know what else to say. You'd have to see it for yourself to get the kind of appreciation I get out of it. What I can say is that this level has mastered the art of making speed portal usage match the speed of the song. None of this level feels like it's the wrong speed, it just works, and I love it for that. This level works really well, I really like it, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. So next up we have Climax. This level's decoration is fine, it doesn't look bad, but it's just f***ing Kiyuki again. If anything, it looks worse than Kiyuki, but this level just... It's just Kiyuki. It uses the same song, it's got the same decoration style, the gameplay, albeit a little bit simpler, is in the same style. It's Kiyuki. Again. You know what it makes me think of? There's a medium demon called Red Haze, and after beating it for the GDDP, they replaced it with another level called Scarlet Smog, and it was just Red Haze again. This is just Kiyuki. Again, this is like Purple Smog, I guess, if I could call it anything. This is just the Scarlet Smog of Kiyuki. Level's fine, but to me it just seems a bit creatively bankrupt and I don't get anything out of it. I don't care about this level. 3 out of 10. Next up we have Network, and absolute perfection. I really love this level. I don't even know what to say. Here's a good way I can describe what this level's deco feels like to me. Do you ever watch a really old movie or TV show that's like old enough to where it's in black and white? And when watching a show or a movie that's in black and white, do you ever almost imagine what the color looks like? And despite the fact there is no color, you can almost fill in the gaps and see where the color is? That's the feeling this level gives me. It's completely grayscale, but it feels like there's color there. I have no idea how the creator of this level managed to invoke that feeling in me, but it's a really, really surreal feeling and I love it. Beyond that, the effects in this level are just amazing. The whole level is really fast-paced, and this is one of those levels where I have to take a step back and question how the hell a human is able to click this fast. But even ignoring that, some of the decoration in this level, some of the effects just blow me away in ways that I don't know how to describe. Honestly, I'd argue this level uses the song that Tower Descent uses better than Tower Descent does. It is an amazing use of the song. There's also an offset duel, which is very hard to get right, but I think this level does get it right very well, and it pulls off the off-center duel masterfully. I also like the effect of the duel actually splitting in the first place, how it's not only depicted as a sword splitting the cube in half, but how that sword syncs with the music. Such an amazing touch. This level is just masterful in every sense of the world, easy 10 out of 10. Next up we have Damascus. I'm probably mispronouncing that, I tried my best. But this level is really cool. Basically, it's a really, really long level, I think around 5 minutes, but what it essentially does is it compiles and references a bunch of important levels to the GD community, and just every part is supposed to look like an already existing level. So it's this cool little mashup level that's really hard to describe. The references in this level are wild. I was able to spot a lot of them, but even then, despite the amount I was able to spot, it still wasn't all of them. Just to name a few, we have Phobos, Utopian Delusions, Promises, Ocular Miracle, Breakout, Quasar, Delta Interface, Buck Force, pretty much the entire Plasma Pulse series, and the Ultimate Phase, all represented here and more. Already, this project is insanely ambitious, however, what blows me away the most is the approach that was taken with this collab. And that's to bring back every single creator that made every single level that is represented in this level. What do I mean by this? Well, just to name off a few of the people who are involved in this collab, and mind you, this is just a small sample size of the amount of people. You have Alan, Serve, Findexty, Eyeblade, Lugia, Britank, Rob Buck, PG1004, Smokes, Jared Kawaii, the Josiah Turner, Wio Tio, and way more from there. It is a ridiculously impressive approach to an idea like this. Obviously, with this kind of star power, the level's not only good, but it also does a good job at representing the original source material. There is not a single part in which you won't recognize what it's referencing. Everything in here is masterfully done, and I love this. I will say, I'm not a big fan of these sort of nostalgia-y levels, so this level isn't for me, but even knowing that it's not for me, I am blown away by just, in general, the amount of effort that went into this. This is a huge project, and it came out masterfully. I have huge respect for this level. Easy 10 out of 10. Next up, we have Combustion. Yet another 1.9 level. These are oddly common now, and I just find them boring. I'm sorry. They all tend to be the same. There are some really cool levels that are made in the 1.9 private server, but then you get levels like this that just feel like they're doing the bare minimum in terms of decoration. It's not like people can't make good stuff in 1.9. People have, and they do, but I just don't like these generic 1.9 levels. I'd actually rather generic 2.1 glow over generic 1.9. It's not interesting to me. On top of that, I don't like this level's song, to the point where it drags it down for me. This song sounds like if you were at, like, a low-end metal concert, like, just, like, not really metal, but just, like, a rock concert, I guess, and if you, like, went into the bathroom and you, like, started washing your hands and you were hearing the song through the bathroom walls. That's what this sounds like. It sounds like a rock concert being listened to from within the bathroom. I'm not a fan of the decoration. I'm not a fan of the song. It's clearly one of those generic 1.9 levels. Wait, that end screen. This isn't 1.9. This is 2.0. Then why does it look so bad? Listen, I know it seems like a gag or something, but I swear to God, this level is so bare bones that I legitimately thought it was a low-end 1.9 project. Holy shit, this level is f***ing boring. I'm giving it a 3. Next up, we have Tunnel of Despair, and as much as I really do like this level, it is kind of a mixed bag, and it could have been improved quite a bit. I do really like it, though, especially in terms of the gameplay. Not how it plays, but as I'm always saying, like, there's a visual aspect to gameplay. And visually, this gameplay is very stimulating to watch. It's very entertaining, especially in the wave parts, which make up a decent chunk of the level, but also most of the gameplay after the wave is pretty interesting as well. The only part that I find somewhat boring is the pre-drop, but it's a pre-drop, so I can deal with it. What I think this level's mainly lacking in is the decoration, and I think it's lacking in the decoration pretty hardcore, I'm not gonna lie. This level has some really good color usage and really good pulses, but it looks really empty due to the lack of a background. Most of the level is just the color black throughout, and I think it looks kinda bad. Yeah, I don't think this level looks that good, I'm not gonna lie. I will say, though, the end screen, as simple as it is, for some reason sticks with me. It's a pretty cool end screen. I know it's just text on a black background, but if you look, there's like a faint static effect that I think looks really sick. I do still think that the decoration is passable. It just could have been a lot better. I do like Tunnel of Despair a lot, though, and so I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Next up, we have Deimos, and I know some of you might be thinking, what are you doing? You've already reviewed Deimos in this series. Well, we reviewed N Levels Deimos, not Hybrids Deimos. And Hybrids Deimos is not a remake of Unnerfed Phobos. Hybrids Deimos is a sequel to Phobos. Different song, different gameplay, and different decoration. I gotta say, as a sequel to Phobos, I think this level is masterful. This is a very well executed sequel to Phobos, and a lot of people would disagree. I've seen people say that this level has nothing to do with Phobos, but no, this represents Phobos really well. You have the memory orb part at the beginning, you have the grayscale wave at the beginning, you have the cryptic duel at the end. Pretty much most of Phobos is represented here pretty well while still standing on its own as a brand new level and not just a Phobos remake. This is exactly how, in my opinion, a sequel should feel. Vaguely reminiscent of the original while still its own thing. It shouldn't have to rely on the original level to be successful. I think this level is a really good modern interpretation of Phobos in terms of quality and also in terms of just the chaotic gameplay and the chaotic decoration. Unlike Phobos, however, this level really doesn't have any low points. It's just one really long high point. All of the decoration in this level is fantastic, and I gotta say, I'm very blown away. The only downside I can think of to this level is that it is very, very, very much one of those levels where you look at it once, you don't really care about it, but the more you see it, the more you like it. But I will say, when it grows on you, this level is phenomenal. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really see any major complaints with this. This is just a good level. I don't know what else to say. I'm giving it a 10. Next up we have the Lightning Rod, and this is a level that I've been so hyped to review for this series. I've been following it since it was originally finished and showcased, pre-verification, like the original showcase. It is masterfully done, and it's hard to explain because this level has a very outdated feel to it. Not in a bad way, but it just feels like it's kind of in that sort of transition point between 2.0 and 2.1 in terms of decoration. That's not necessarily a bad thing, though, as it just gives the level a bit of a nostalgic feel. It still manages to look really good despite having this sort of dated appearance because the color scheme is really well chosen and it has a really good theme to go with it. Thematically, I'm not really sure what's going on in this level. My guess has always been that you're inside of the lightning rod as it gets struck by lightning, and that's sort of what the end screen is showing, but yeah, I have no idea. But if that's the case, this is really cool, because what this level essentially gives off the vibe as is being a maze of machinery with, you know, lightning striking everywhere inside of it, and all these weird sort of switches that you have to avoid. It's really cool, and the gameplay itself is really hard to describe. I think this is the only level on the demon list I could describe as being under the gameplay genre of experimental, but that's not a bad thing. It's really, really interesting gameplay, and it's very visually stimulating. Even the song choice, like, this is a very strange song for GD. Not that it doesn't fit, it's just something I wouldn't have expected to be used, but not only was it was used well, and the gameplay matches the song perfectly. I'm blown away by this, and I really do like this level a lot. I'm giving the Lightning Rod a 10. For some reason, I thought I already reviewed Codependence in this series, so I'm recording this last minute while editing. Yeah, Codependence is really, really cool. I do like this level. It's just unfortunately a little disappointing on the decoration side. Now, that's not a big deal at all, because this level's obviously supposed to be a spectacle in terms of its gameplay, and it is. It is one of the most creative two-player levels I've seen aside of maybe Master Duel, but I don't know, I wish there was a little bit more to the deco. It's not bad. It's really good. I think the song choice is brilliant, and it uses the song really, really well. And yeah, no, I mean, for being such a complex level, there shockingly isn't a lot to say about Codependence. It's really creative, and it helped break the mold and open the door for two-player mode levels being more common, and I obviously don't know how these two-player mode levels feel. However, I do see them as being the future of difficulty in this game, so yeah, I don't know. A lot of people try to say that the level being split into two halves like this is kind of a detriment to the level. However, I kind of disagree. I find it really, really interesting that instead of being just one level with two controls, it's effectively playing two levels at the same time. I don't think I need to tell you that that is one of the hardest things you could probably do in this game. It is not easy. Even if it was in an easier level, like there was an insane demon where you had to do this, just playing two levels at the same time is rough. Codependence is really, really cool, and I do really like it. However, it is a stepping stone, and it is very obviously so. This level is very flawed, and future levels that would come out and try to essentially do what this level did, but better, would obviously, well, do it better. I mean, compare Codependence to Sides of My Mind, and it's night and day, so yeah, I think this level is more of a stepping stone than anything, and it's not perfect, but that's kind of part of its charm. It's an interesting level to look back on, and because of that, I'm going to give Codependence an 8 out of 10. And with that, we have reached the end of Ranking the Demons List Part 8.5. This episode was a gauntlet for me, and I'm really hoping I can edit it quickly so stuff doesn't get placed between me starting editing and between me recording the next episode. I'm gonna start working on Part 9 the moment I finish with this episode, specifically because this episode was meant to catch us up. And seeing the length of this video, you can understand why that was necessary. This video is probably going to be around an hour long, if not more. So yeah, you can see why this sort of bonus episode was necessary. I'm not gonna lie, the list, I think this might be the moment where I say the Demon List has been revived in terms of the level quality. I've seen a few people say that they find the list boring now and that none of the levels are interesting to them, and I've specifically seen people call out levels that I like and that I gave positive reviews in this video. I've seen them call them out as boring and all that stuff, but realistically, I think what's happening is people aren't sick of the levels on the Demon List, they're just sick of the Demon List as a concept. And so people aren't actually taking the time to look at the levels that place. Just as an example of what I'm talking about, in this series I obviously bought the levels so that way I can showcase them and have background footage for the videos, and when I went to showcase the level Horros, I noticed that it only had 1,221 likes and that it only had 47,000 downloads, which is ridiculously low numbers for an extreme. I get that it's a two-player mode level and that it's not that accessible, but come on, everyone usually boots up an extreme at least once so that they can die at 1% and go, ooh, that's hard, and then quit out. This level doesn't even have enough attention for that to happen. And, well, I wasn't a big fan of the level and I didn't give it the highest score. It's different to not like a level than it is to not give it attention. I don't really know what to make of this, and obviously I know people are sick of me pushing the narrative of Demon List bad, and so that's not what I'm gonna do. In fact, what I am gonna do is say, you should not judge a level based off where it places off the list or what other people say about the level. Your opinion on a level might end up being wildly different from everyone else's, and at the end of the day, every single GD level in some way, while it's an attempt at being a level in a game, most of these levels are also an attempt at being an art piece, and like every other art piece, it appeals to different people. So don't dismiss a level just because it gets placed on the list, because some of these levels, like Tunnel of Despair, for example, people have been insanely dismissive towards, which I think is genuinely unfair. Some of these levels are legitimately cool. I don't really know, it doesn't really seem to be my place to say, but what I can say is I'm at least happy that the levels on the Demon List are getting significantly better and more interesting to look at. I'm really, really happy with where the list is going, and I'm really happy with some of the levels that people are making. This has been a really good episode, and I've really enjoyed the levels we've looked at today. That being said, thank you so much for watching. As usual, there will be a playlist in the description with every single episode in it in case you haven't caught up with the series and you want to watch from the beginning. As usual, interaction reminder stuff, please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot, and I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm hoping this video gets out fairly quickly, because assuming I get this video out in a relatively fast time frame, I'm pretty sure, unless I find a one-off topic video to make really quickly like my Avernus video, I'm pretty sure this is going to be my last video in 2.1. And if that's the case, then I'll see you all in 2.2. The reason I mention this here, too, is because I'm pretty sure 2.2 is going to drastically change the Demon List as we know it. It's going to add a whole new era of difficulty with new mechanics, new everything, and the update's going to look completely different. I'm really interested to see where the Demon List goes in 2.2, and I'm really glad I started this series because I can sort of document the journey. I'm really excited to look forward at the Demon List as we go on, and yeah, I don't know what to expect. And honestly, there's three things that could happen when I release this video. Either A, 2.2 drops the same day this video drops, which will be really funny and make this outro really ironic and meta. B, 2.2 drops relatively soon, which, yeah, we know what would happen then. I've pretty much already said it. Or C, 2.2 gets delayed into December. The idea of that scares me a lot, and I really, really hope that doesn't happen. But I don't think it will. If it does, well, I'll eat my words, and I'll probably make fun of this in Ranking the Demon List Part 9, but who knows. One thing's for certain, though. After watching this update's development go by for, what has it been, 7 years now, I know for a fact that whatever happens, the levels that are going to push the difficulty in 2.2 are for the most part going to be good levels. Or if they are bad, they're going to be bad in the same way 2.1 levels can be bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to make any of the levels worse, and I don't know. I just can't wait to see what people make in 2.2. I'm really excited to see this update, and yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to 2.2 as a whole. There's a lot of implications that 2.2 has on the Demon List, and a lot of uncertainties. There's the way the Demon List plans on handling the physics bypass, which I don't even want to get into this video, but that could change a lot of things. There is the idea that a lot of levels won't be physically possible, and I know for a fact levels like Instinct by Crazy Man 50 Real will break. I'm pretty sure Network is also going to break, and there's just a bunch of levels on the list that are going to break, and I know that Pause said he would go back and update levels and fix them if they broke, but that could take time, so I'm really interested to see what happens. The future is uncertain, and I kinda like that, oddly enough. But either way, that's all I have to say for this video. Thank you for watching.